have a piano piece. You want the orchestra version. How to make it happen? Let's learn from the master, Ravel. Hello everybody! Now we have arrived at the third section of this beautiful piece. You might have noticed that this section is a transposition of the opening, rehearsal mark 11. Everything was moved up a minor third. How does Ravel orchestrate it? I'm Yang Yang, a composer who loves to turn patterns into tools. Let's take a look at the new tools I found in Ravel's Orchestration Toolbox. Rehearsal mark 13. First 4 measures, let's start with the woodwinds. As we've seen before, B flat is taken from the piano left hand to form 3 independent voices. This chord is played by 2 flutes, 2 oboes, 2 clarinets, and the English horn. Now, who plays what? One way to look at it is at the individual note level. At the top, we have first flute, first oboe, and first clarinet. In the middle, second oboe and a second clarinet. And at the bottom, second flute with the English horn. But there's another way to see it, not as individual notes, but at the harmonic, chordal level. Here, the woodwind section is divided into smaller subgroups, each forming its own self-sufficient harmonic unit. The first group, 2 oboes and the English horn. The second group, 2 flutes and 1 clarinet. And the third, the first clarinet on its own. Each subgroup has its own distinct timbral color. The oboe English horn group is bright and focused. The flute and clarinet group is warm and mellow. Blend these two together. It feels like the sound of flute and clarinet adds the fluffiness around the focused tone of oboe and English horn. And the first clarinet adds extra strength to the melody. Hear it again. First group. Add in the second group. Thinking in groups rather than chasing every individual note or instrument creates a structure. And I find my mind handles this kind of hierarchically organized structure easier. Now you might ask, how do you know? How do you know Ravel was thinking in the first group being 2 oboes and English horn? Maybe he was thinking oboe, clarinet, and a flute, or maybe flute, oboe, and English horn, or whatever combination. I got the cue from 3 measures later. Look, only the 2 oboes and English horn are playing here. Ravel thinned out the texture and changed the color to prepare for what's coming next. So that's the grouping. The remaining measures are treated the same way. Other notes. The bass is treated just like before. Pizzicato for definition, sustained notes for resonance. Here, violin 1 plucks the note, while the first bassoon and the cellos hold it. You might have noticed that the cello and the bassoon sustain their notes for different durations. Why? I will discuss this in my future video about Ravel's phrasing in this piece. For now, let's just focus on the organization of the pitches. The octave leap. That's in violin 2. Next 4 measures. Once again, the bass note gets the same treatment. This time, the pizzicato moves to cellos, while the bassoon holds the sustained note. The octave gesture shifts to the violas. And as mentioned before, the 3-note sustain chord is now only played by the first group, 2 oboes and the English horn, while flutes and clarinets fade away. Keep going. We have seen these 2 techniques in the last 2 episodes. Repeated notes tied into one long tone and a voice leading. Bass, repeated note E is held as 1 note, then stepping down to E flat, played by bassoon. Top note, F, tied for resonance, in the muted first trumpet. Middle note, D flat, lengthened to fill the harmony, resolving to C, in the muted second trumpet. Bottom note A resolves down to G sharp, played by the first horn. Everything together. Voice leading is such a beautiful and important concept. Put it in the context together with the string bass note. Hear how it creates a smoothly shifting harmonic fabric for the string melody. By the way, look at this. The two trumpets and the French horn form their own harmonic group. Just like the woodwind groups earlier, this group also has its own distinctive color, a bright brassy sound. Compare these three groups. First group, two oboes and English horn. Second group, two flutes with a clarinet in the middle. The third group, two muted trumpets with a stopped horn. Each group has a full three-voice harmony, and each of them has its own timbre color. And here, the melody moves to the violas. The bass is once again doubled. Pizzicato for accentuating, and a sustained for the resonance. That wraps up rehearsal mark 13. Thank you for watching. See you in the next episode.